No, no, this is terrible. Shame on you. Shame on you, Evan Rachel Wood. This is so sick. This is so sick. Keeping your child away from a good man, his father. Shame on you for making that child afraid, not only for your own safety, but for his safety, needlessly so. Shame on you for all of that. There is a fascinating celebrity custody case that almost no one knows about. So, what I want to do is read some of these court documents to you to give you a sense of what Westworld actress Evan Rachel Wood tried to pull with her ex and the father of her child, Jamie Bell. You know, I have talked a lot on my channel about another case that Evan Rachel Wood has been involved in, and it is absolutely shameful. It is absolutely shameful the manner in which Evan Rachel Wood apparently withheld her son from his father, a good guy by all accounts, for an extensive period of time. Jamie Bell alleges months and months. She absconded to Tennessee to take the child there to live, which was not what she had agreed to with Jamie Bell. And then she refused to bring the child back and made him fight it out in the courts as he became more and more desperate to see his son. And not only was he more and more desperate to see his son, but apparently, we can see this in the documents as well that I'm going to read for you in a minute. Apparently, he was very concerned about some of the things that Evan Rachel Wood was telling their child about his safety, that she was actually scaring her child. Also, Jamie Bell alleges that she engaged in severe parental alienation. So I want to get to this, and I want to look at it and you see what you think. All of this comes from the Tennessee court documents. We don't have access to the California documents. Those are not public. The Tennessee court documents, I will include a link below and you can look for yourself. But I just wanted to read to you what I think are the most impactful. And then I'm going to do a series on this custody dispute and the FBI letter, the faked FBI letter, and all of that. Okay, so it's coming up. All right, so this is Jamie Bell's court declaration. He writes, I know Evan loves our son, but I am very concerned by how she is handling the current situation. Whatever fears Evan may have regarding third parties should have nothing to do with me or the custody of our son. I do not even want to think of the short and long-term psychological harm Evan might be inflicting upon Jack with this kind of talk and my prolonged separation from him. I worry now that Evan is alienating me from Jack, even inadvertently. It's not inadvertent. I simply want to normalize things for our son and to bring him home to Los Angeles. Now, you have to understand that at this time, this kid, I believe, was like 6 or 7 years old, very young. And what kind of talk is he referring to here? Well, Jamie Bell tells us elsewhere in the declaration what he's talking about. He says, I would also like the court to know that Evan's recent behavior with Jack is truly alarming. Evan is thankfully still facilitating FaceTime, though that is the only contact I have with Jack now, apart from her recent concession to let me see Jack in Florida. The only reason that Evan Rachel Wood finally conceded to him having this short visit in Florida with Jack at his in-laws is because there was a big court hearing coming up. And she was scared that she was going to get in trouble or was it going to look bad. So she puts this guy off for months and months and and runs away to Nashville and won't come back and won't tell him when she's coming back and won't let the kid visit him. All this time she does that. And then when this big hearing finally comes up where he's complaining about these, custody issues, then okay, yeah, he can hang out with you a little bit in Florida. I'll be magnanimous. All right. Then Jamie Bell says, during a FaceTime call I had with Jack on February 25th, 2021, Jack said something to the effect of, you're not good, Daddy. You're not here. In other words, the child is registering the fact that his dad is not with him and is not seeing him. What does a child think when it's been months? You know, Evan Rachel Wood, as manipulative as she is, as narcissistic and disturbed as she is, you know that she's probably twisting things for her child to alienate him from Jamie Bell, which is what's alleged here. Jamie Bell writes, it broke my heart. A few weeks earlier, Jack told me he drew a picture of a man who has been hurting him. Evan jumped onto the call and corrected Jack, saying, not the man hurting you, the man hurting me. Right? Because, see, it would make Evan look bad if it comes out that she's scaring her son and making him afraid for his own safety, right? So she wants to correct that. No, 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 not you, but me. But the kid is afraid for himself. That's why he said, the man hurting me. Because no matter what Evan Rachel Wood may say that she's saying to her child, she's evidently giving off this impression, explicitly so, that they have to be concerned for both of for their safety. I mean, that's what she's been telling everyone else. She's scaring her own kid, and she's scaring him needlessly over a hoax. What kind of a person not only constructs an elaborate hoax about an ex-boyfriend, as she did with Marilyn Manson, but then uses that hoax, perpetuates that lie, and with her own son, and scares her own son and makes him afraid for his safety. And it gets worse. You want to see? It gets worse, people. Just outrageous. I mean, when we get into talking about children now, it's bad enough to go after Marilyn Manson. I just want to say it's bad enough to go after Marilyn Manson, to destroy him the way that she's destroyed him with this calculated, complex, orchestrated hoax. But you're now psychologically damaging your own child because you've gotten so carried away in this delusion that you constructed for yourself. That you are a very disturbed person, Evan Rachel Wood. You are very disturbed. There's lots of things I can shrug off and say, oh, well, we're all messed up, or, oh, I know she probably had a rough time of it being a child star or whatever. But no, this is terrible. Shame on you. Shame on you, Evan Rachel Wood, for keeping your child away from a good man, his father. Shame on you for making that child afraid, not only for your own safety, but for his safety, needlessly so. Shame on you for all of that. And yeah, shame on you for the Manson hoax. Okay, so Jamie Bell continues. So Evan jumped onto the call and corrected him, saying, not the man hurting you, the man hurting me. Jack said that the man's name is Brian, Marilyn Manson's real name, and he lives 3 miles from my home in Los Angeles, and said that was why he was staying in Nashville. Evan's initial contention as to why she failed to return Jack to California was because she says she is involved in a high-profile investigation regarding supposed abuse by Brian. I have nothing to do with this investigation, but Evan contends that she is now fearful for her and Jack's safety. During our recent stipulated visitation that Evan allowed at my in-laws' house in Florida, Jack voiced his concern for his safety and reminded us repeatedly of the man who hurt his mom and displayed emotional outbursts related to the case his mother is involved in. When I mentioned fun things to do in the future, Jack told me he could only do them, quote, if Brian is in jail. I am absolutely appalled and terrified that Evan is feeding this information to our 7-year-old, 7 years old. This is Jamie Bell's declaration. This is not me saying this stuff. Jamie Bell is saying that Evan is repeatedly appealing to her son, not only about her own safety, but about his safety. So she is making her son feel terrified that he can't even go outside the house because Marilyn Manson might attack him or his mother. This is so fucking sick. This is so fucking sick. And for some reason, it hasn't hit me until just right now, maybe because I'm telling other people about it or I'm having to read through it audibly and I'm processing it differently, but it's just now hitting me how truly awful and disturbing and outrageous this is. Shame on you, Evan Rachel Wood. Shame on you. How can you look yourself in the mirror knowing that you are terrorizing your own son for no reason? And if this is the way that that the kid is acting around his dad, when we would assume, he's not telling him everything that's going on. I'm sure there's all these things that Evan, you know how it is. I'm sure there's all these things that Evan Rachel Wood has said to the kid, like, okay, this is just between you and me. Don't tell daddy, She's probably feeding him all of this different bullshit, this kid. And not only about Marilyn Manson, but about Jamie Bell as well. I mean, Jamie Bell's afraid that the kid has been alienated. The kid has been alienated. He told him on the phone, Daddy, you're no good. How much more obvious does it have to be? The kid is telling him, the 7-year-old is saying, Daddy, you're no good. I wonder where he's getting that idea from, huh? I wonder. Same person who's telling him that he can't leave the house without being afraid of Marilyn Manson? 7-year-old, this is terrible. And we haven't even gotten to the faked FBI letter yet. Is there anybody out there watching this in our government who cares? I'm just curious. But I'm just wondering, does anybody in the FBI care about the fact that this actress, this major movie star, was faking FBI letters and was using them in custody disputes and perhaps using them to recruit women to go against Marilyn Manson. Does anybody care? No. Okay. Moving right along. This is an email that Jamie Bell wrote to Evan Rachel Wood. So basically what had happened here is that Evan Rachel Wood surprised Jamie Bell with the fact that he was not going to get to spend Christmas with his son, was not going to get to see his son for Christmas as he thought he would. Beyond the devastation of realizing that I wouldn't get to spend the holiday with Jack, this news was obviously very shocking and disturbing to hear so suddenly. It was the first time that I had ever heard you make mention of our son's safety being in jeopardy due to your involvement in a legal case. If your safety is at risk because of your involvement, then it makes much more sense that Jack should be with me. I spent the days leading up to Christmas calling and leaving messages with the various crime bureaus and law enforcement officers you gave me, and I'm still awaiting calls back from 2 or 3 of them. Yeah, good luck. You're going to be waiting a while if you're waiting for that FBI agent to get back to you. I was able to speak with one contact you shared with me. That was someone at the sheriff's office. And they made it very clear that whatever investigation may be going on, it should in no way impact my ability to be with our son at my home here in Los Angeles. With that in mind, LA is Jack's home. It has been for more than 7 years. He'd spent so apparently this kid had spent his entire life living in LA, and then Evan Rachel Wood roots him, runs to Nashville, and then refuses to bring the son back. He says he is enrolled in school here. His friends and teachers and doctors are here. We have never discussed him living in Nashville indefinitely. And just to be clear, I do not consent to him living in Nashville indefinitely. If you have now decided to live in Nashville full time, that is your choice. But given we share custody of Jack, you can't just make that decision on your own volition that is where he'll be living for an undetermined amount of time. It seems that you are unwilling to use our mediator as a resource so we can come up with a plan. So I'm suggesting that we alone organize and plan the next couple of months of Jack's care. And so he continues trying to come up with ideas for how they can sort this out. And then last paragraph, he says, I need to see our son. I need to know when I will be seeing him again. When you decline to make arrangements to return him to my care during my custody time, barely communicate with me, and refuse to speak with our mediator, I'm left with very few options. I really, big letters, want us to work this out, but I need to hear from you, and we need to arrange a custody schedule ASAP, Jamie. There's tons more where that came from, though. Tons more. He writes to the court. He says, my repeated attempts to even put a custody plan in place have been ignored or refused by Evan. Evan is preparing to continue withholding Jack in Tennessee, and that we have no timetable for a return to the 50-50 custody we previously shared. It is simply not true that I consented to Evan keeping Jack outside of California as she falsely claims, or that I have not been trying to desperately get him back and see him. All right, what else? There's more. I mean, there's tons. I'm not going to get a chance to read all of them. Here's a letter from Evan Rachel Wood. This is an email to Jamie Bell. She goes by Leonore Pink in this communication, but that's her. She says, Dear Jamie, I am writing this email to you to let you know. Oh, so this is where she lets Jamie know that out of the blue, at the last minute, that he's not going to be able to see his son for Christmas. Dear Jamie, I am writing this email to you to let you know that Jack and I will be staying in Nashville for the immediate future. As you will soon find out, I am a material witness in a high-profile criminal investigation, which likely will be public in the near future. I have been advised that both Jack and my safety is at risk, and that it is in our best interest to remain in Nashville. I will forward to you my contact at the FBI, wink, wink, and you should feel free to call with whatever questions you have. I know how difficult this is for you to be away from Jack for an extended period of time. I will do whatever I can to accommodate you. Oh, yeah, whatever. To accommodate you should you want to come here to visit him whenever you want. I, of course, will facilitate FaceTime with Jack on a frequent basis. I am available to answer any questions you may have. Thank you for your understanding during this very difficult time. Shine on. Oh, God, don't you love that shine on at the end? I mean, how much of a piece of work is this woman? I really have to ask. I mean, what a piece of work is this woman? What a ridiculous, awful woman. What else? What else? Well, here's a filing, a court filing from someone else, not Jamie Bell, but this person says the petitioner and his attorneys were aware that respondent Evan Rachel Wood had absconded with the minor from his home state of California and was withholding him in the Nashville property. I mean, these court documents are not messing around. Why are we not hearing? Why did we not hear about this, or are we not hearing about this a lot in conversations, in mainstream media conversations about the Marilyn Manson case? Is Evan Rachel Wood's credibility, is it not important? Is the fact that she absconded to Tennessee with her child and withheld him from his father and has been terrorizing him with lies, is that not important? And I'm gonna close with this, even though there's a lot more documents, and I'm gonna go over this in a series. So if you think this is interesting, subscribe to me because there's so much to get into. But Jamie says this: I desperately need this court's help to get Jack back home. He is pleading now with the court. I am still in shock at the direction this is all taken. For 7 years, I shared equally custody of Jack with his mother, and now his mother has been keeping him from me since December. So let's just notice the date, everybody. This is 26th of March. See at the bottom, executed this day, 26th of March. He says that he has not seen his son, that the son has been withheld since December. That is months. And it would continue to be longer. I have tried co-parenting therapy. I've tried mediation with a private judge, communicating directly with Evan, negotiating through attorneys, and I still do not have physical custody of my son. This is an absolute nightmare. It makes no sense to me. I am not trying to take Jack away from Evan. I just want to go back to the shared custody we had in Los Angeles. Jamie says, I frankly do not understand what is happening. Now, this is interesting for the Marilyn Manson case, and this is where I want to close almost. He says, I frankly do not understand what is happening. Either Evans claims that she is receiving, quote, death threats are true and Jack is not safe in her care, or the claims are not true and she is withholding our son from me for other reasons of her own invention. Wow. Withholding our son from me for other reasons of her own invention. Exactly. He knows what's going on. He knows. He can't come out and say it, but he knows. Let me tell you, y'all, Jamie Bell knows this woman. He knows her a lot better than we do. And he has been through the ringer with her, evidently, and we're just getting a slice of it. Who knows what all he's had to put up with, what all has been going on over his time with her. He knows this Manson stuff is BS. And that's what he's saying here, that she is withholding our son from me for other reasons of her own invention. That is right. She is a fantasist. And Jamie Bell knows it, of her own invention. People I know who are public figures have had to take security precautions. I have received no indication from Evan that she has even got a security guard in place. You know, this woman is not behaving as if she's afraid. I've said this before on my show. If she's so afraid for her son, then why was she putting her son as a focal point in part 2 of Phoenix Rising? Why? That's not the behavior of someone who is worried that her son might attract some attention from some crazed Manson fans or from Manson himself. Finally, Jamie Bell says, I am extremely concerned about Evan's judgment right now. Yes. And I miss Jack deeply and remain worried for his safety and well-being. Y'all, he's not concerned about his son's safety and well-being because of Marilyn Manson. He knows that that is a fabrication of Evan's own invention, as he just said. He knows that she's been repeatedly lying. He knows this whole thing is BS. When he says that he's concerned for his son's safety and well-being, what he means is that he does not think that his son is safe or well with Evan Rachel Wood. And as hard, as tough as these realities are, I'm going to keep telling the truth about this stuff. So I appreciate your support as always. I can only do this with your support, and believe me, the YouTube monetization, it's not enough. And so I do appreciate your tips. PayPal does allow me to keep a lot more of the money that you donate than YouTube does, if it makes a difference to you. And again, even if you can't donate, like, subscribe, all of it is appreciated. All of it is helpful, and I'm going to keep getting the word out.